can stand up in Githurai and supervise a meeting where they're saying Ruto must go. Ruto is a one-term president. Already, he has committed the grossest insubordination they could be. So yes, there were very strong charges against him.
My question
so it's not that. So it was. We reached an agreement as a coalition, but also he himself. There was evidence. There was evidence. There was evidence against him.
So let's sample the feedback break. And thank you for staying with us, Ayub Abdikadir. On my far right, Gladys Boss.
Let me tell you something. I think we are in denial of the transformation that is going on in the country. If you ask yourself today, in no other government have we had a situation where hospital bills are paid, everyone is going to be covered for universal health care, regardless of whether you have a job or you don't have a job. We have a funding model that allows every person, whether your family can afford it or not, is going to be paid for up to 90% of their school fees. There is no time that we have deliberately thought about having affordable housing so that people are not living in shacks. You look at the transformation that's happening in the country. You can complain now, but believe me, in a year or two, when you see the transformation, I don't know what you're going to say. You know very well that have you visited Mukuru Kwanjenga? Well, to see the affordable housing?
My far right, Gladys Boss is the woman MP was in Gesho County. I'll have a graphical representation. First, I have to get to Honorable Gladys because it appears that it's out with the old and in with the old, because there seems to be even further rigorous processes that we'll be taking a look at the policies laid down by the State Department for Immigration. I'll be taking that stuff shortly. But Honorable Gladys, what do you make of this a rather important matter? It's a serious divide between nationality, the dignity of Kenyans' rights vis-a-vis the politics that we are seeing. I mean, how should we be approaching this? Because in the end, it's a national security matter. It's also a stability matter that matters to the Kenyan people.
I think it's about time that this actually happened. Because if you look at Article 14 of our Constitution, it says proof of birth is sufficient to guarantee citizenship. So if you look at the Registration of Persons Act, Section 6, and I think Rule 4, it just says that you should have a birth certificate that should be sufficient for you to get to be guaranteed citizenship. So vetting actually had no law. There was no legal framework supporting vetting. It was just something that was manufactured, and it went on. So in fact, what it did now, it gave personal discretion to decide whether you should be a citizen or not. And it was not underpinned under any legal framework. And that's why I think it's good now that we've gone back, we are following our Constitution. We know what is required for you to be able to guarantee citizenship, because it also, you were at the whims of whoever was in that security committee. If they didn't like your face. And then there was also a lot of complaints about bribery sometimes for people to be able to give, for the vetting to be approved and so on. For other people, it was delayed until they paid money and so on. So I think it's a good thing that let's go back to the Constitution. And even if the immigration authorities want to come up with a legal framework, let them come with proper rules that are not biased and doesn't allow anybody to suffer in the hands of a few people. So I think what the president has pronounced, he's just pronounced the Constitution. Card for vaccinations is sufficient. So even if you're born at home, you'll at some point end up in a clinic to have vaccination. So I think what had happened was this was something that was created, and I think it was a reaction to what Senator Methu is saying, to when the UK started vetting Kenyans, because they were worried that they were saying Somalis had come into Kenya and were making their way to the UK. So it was a reaction. So now, in order for us to appease the UK government, then they created the vetting. So it was not founded in any law or logic at all. And if you look, it was basically mostly geared to people who are in the border, which was mostly Somalis, people of Somali origin, and then also people in Busia, because at that time when there was a civil unrest in Uganda, people were coming through. So you can see it was targeted, but it was more to appease the, these other foreign countries.
I think it was...
Speak very vocally about it.
Yeah.
You must come before that committee. And I'm asking Mheshimiwa here that he has to make sure that they come and raise that issue, because we are going to make sure that you cannot have different regulations for other Kenyans, different Kenyans.
Exactly,
you
my
cannot
point.
do that.
The point is, let's take a look at what then are the new guidelines.
It's the same rule must apply to all Kenyans.
Precisely.
All Kenyans. That proof of birth is sufficient to guarantee you citizenship. The president has pronounced the constitution. Now, what will happen is sometimes when the president has pronounced something, then the implementation is different. But when we see that, that's definitely going to be challenged.
And this is what the government came up with. I mean, so therefore, yes, let me get the Senator here.
Personal discretion. For me, I've seen many people who are not actually Kenyan citizens, but because they can corrupt the system, they can talk to the chief, they can talk to who, and eventually get citizenship. Then the ones who are genuinely citizens, because they can't afford to pay that money, don't actually get the citizenship. So I would like us to have a system that is free of personal discretion. Then we are good. Javi, what's going to... Because let me tell you something. I think we are in denial of the transformation that is going on in the country. If you ask yourself, today, in no other government have we had a situation where hospital bills are paid, everyone is going to be covered for universal health care, regardless of whether you have a job or you don't have a job. We have a funding model that allows every person, whether your family can afford it or not, is going to be paid for up to 90% of their school fees. There is no time that we have deliberately thought about having affordable housing so that people are not living in shacks. You look at the transformation that's happening in the country. You can complain now, but believe me, in a year or two, when you see the transformation, I don't know what you're going to say. You know very well that have you visited Mukuru Kwanjenga? Well, to see the affordable housing there? In denial that there is actually work that is going on and that the country is changing, that there is deliberate steps and efforts to transform our country.
Madam Speaker,
why are you in denial to the fact that for the first time... No, hold on. Let me just
think it's only prudent that you people start listening. You've been heckling at us for so long a period. It will only be prudent that you listen so that we make progress. We also want Dr. William Samuel
Council, you have just spoken.
Yeah.
Can you give me a chance to also speak?
Sorry.
I let you speak when you were speaking.
Thank you.
Why is it that you're in denial to the fact that for the first time Kenya did not import sugar?
I don't take sugar.
For the first time, we have other people do. For the first time, we have been able to produce more maize than we have ever produced, or food that we have ever produced, because of having subsidized fertilizer.
Last year, the fertilizer was fake.
Today, people will tell you that life has changed for them. So I know that.
And why is price of unga high?
Sorry?
Why is price of unga high, beyond the reach of many Kenyans?
No, let me ask you a question. What was the price before 2022? What was the price before 2022 and what is the price now?
Okay.
What was the price of fuel and what is the price now?
I give you the number.
What is the price of what was the price of electricity and what's the price now? All of them have come down.
Okay.
So let's not be in denial about that. And so I'm saying, let's not be such toxic, negative people when we can't even acknowledge that some things have changed.
Okay.
And for the better. And the country is moving forward. And I can tell you this without fear of contradiction, and you will prove me right. This country is transforming and is going to transform.
Okay. So I ask you the question.
So let's not just be negative.
Okay.
No, Dr. William Samuel,
she made her point, so allow me.
If he continues allowing you people to bar him from listening, we will have a problem. And we mean good for this country. We want him to succeed. We have an interest. We need him to succeed. He must listen.
He does listen.
And how has that contributed to Honorable Gladys Shollei? Because you have talked about production and fertilizer, but the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics report does not mention the fertilizer subsidy as touted by the administration as a contributing factor to the growth of the sector because it was riddled with corruption.
What is that?
The fertilizer subsidy program that you have said has led to the boost in production.
No, actually, if you look at the details, is that we have produced more maize than we ever did.
So
there was,
you mentioned the fertilizer
production.
question. I'll come to the maize and the...
No, fertilizer, believe me, I come from a maize and wheat growing area. I come from the bread basket of Kenya, and I know the difference that fertilizer has made. We were paying 7,500 for fertilizer, now we're paying 2,500. That has made a difference, and it has made people be able to grow more crops.
Okay. The point
and there's
is
changes in that, and maybe that I think that Kenya National Bureau of Statistics is probably not an updated report.
No, this is 2024, the last quarter. You can't deny this. This is science, and the statistician is always right.
No, but I'm just but the question I'm asking you is, what was the price of unga? It had gone to almost 250 shillings.
They cumulatively, considering the purchasing power, give a cumulative increment in what has increased. For example, maize grain has increased by 1.9%.
Yeah.
Beyond the reach of Kenyans.
No, that's not true at all.
This is what the report says from
I'm telling you what I see in the supermarket, at the shops, what people are buying for, and what people are buying for in the village. The gorogoro, the 2 kilogram, whatever cost, has gone down.
And this is in December 2024.
Let's go to the shops. Let's forget what your report is saying. But you choose to carry a narrative of negativity.
Not negativity.
Maybe Ayub, can I help you?
Order. I'll come to you. We have time, Mohammed. Honorable Gladys, it's an accountability show. I invite you here because the great people of Uasin Gishu County gave you the mandate. And above all, privileged to be the Deputy Speaker. So it's an accountability as to move our country forward. The point I am making is that, for example, if you look at the cost of the basic things, cabbages, oranges, tomatoes, mangoes, if you look at onions, cooking oil.
And you know, Ayub, three onions.
You should come to my constituency where a kilo is costing just 60.
Yeah, Mohammed, just order. Exactly. So, Honorable Shollei, then how do you prove the justification? Because the Bureau of Statistics says the changes in every retail prices of selected commodities in the last 1 month has increased by the standards of what they have posted. This is what the report says.
Yes.
How then do you justify the numbers that you are given?
I justify my numbers because I know it from the street, from talking to people. Like you said, he's saying 100 shillings is three. He's saying it's 60 shillings a kilo.
Okay. Yeah. The woman rep for Uasin Gishu County, for example, to make decisions. That's the question.
What do you mean? What, independent to do what?
How independent is Parliament, in your view?
Believe me, there is so many. Parliament is an extremely powerful.
Okay, how independent?
Parliament is a very extremely powerful. Is a very powerful tool that you have. You can raise issues. Like the other day, we know that we had some issues with Shah.
We're out of time.
We got them.
The question is, how independent are you as a member of that house?
I'm independent.
How independent were you, for example, when you look at the 11 charges against Rigathi Gachagua in the bill by Mwengi Mutuse?
Yes, I was very clear.
You did everything by your own?
Yes.
Why did you tell the public that it's President Ruto who directed you?
I was talking in my village. That's a different talk.
Okay. Then for accountability.
No, by the way, let me tell you. No. Let me explain to you something. By the way, remember the president, that was his deputy.
Yes.
And by the time we made a decision as a coalition and coalition of other parties that we are going to support this cause, we lobby among ourselves. But of course, you have to ask the appointing authority if it's okay.
Okay. So it was never about the charges. It was
so let's have the feedback.
The charges. Hold on. Okay. The charges also. If you look at the charges, and in fact when I spoke in Parliament, I said there is no way you can have a deputy president who can stand up in Githurai and supervise a meeting where they're saying Ruto must go. Ruto is a one-term president. Already he has committed the grossest insubordination they could be. So yes, there were very strong charges against him.
My question
so it's not that. So it was. We reached an agreement as a coalition, but also he himself. There was evidence. There was evidence. There was evidence against him.
So let's sample the feedback.